Hey, I'm Zarina Matcha, and you're watching Non-Feminist Gal. When feminism started in the 1960s, it was a very radical movement and was all about liberating women from the patriarchy, going against marriage and motherhood, and pushing for women in male-dominated professions. From the 90s, and even nowadays in the 2000s, there's been a softer view of feminism known as liberal feminism or choice feminism. This is the idea that being a feminist means that women should have choices. This mentality has been espoused by people like Emma Watson and Caitlin Moran, who stated in her book How to Be a Woman that all it takes to be a feminist is to want to be in control of your vagina, and that feminism is really just everyone being polite to one another. Radical feminists and anti-feminists like myself can probably both agree that watering down feminism to simply meaning being polite or believing that women are people completely goes against the true aims of feminism. Many women and men nowadays who call themselves feminists claim that feminism just means that women should be equal to men. Women should be treated equally. Women should have freedom of choice. If a woman wants to be a housewife, wear pink and high heels, give blowjobs and cook dinner for her husband, then of course she is a feminist, because it's all about personal choice and girl power. In the 90s and early 2000s, girl groups like the Spice Girls and Sugar Babes, and TV shows like Sex and the City, and even kids shows like Totally Spies or the Powerpuff Girls all espouse these liberal, girl power, lipstick feminist ideals. These shows focused on celebrating womanhood without diminishing our femininity. I definitely subscribe to and agree with this school of thought in regards to female empowerment. However, I don't think it's accurate or even necessary to call it feminist. When feminism becomes a label that is used to describe any woman who makes a decision, it no longer means anything. Feminism is not simply a girl power movement. It's not about women having agency or women choosing whether or not to be housewives or CEOs. Feminism is a political movement that seeks to abolish the patriarchy and dismantle gender differences between men and women. When we say that being a feminist just means that you want to be a woman with agency, we're pressuring all women to identify with a label that they may not be comfortable identifying with. Because of course I believe that women should have agency. Of course I believe that women should have freedom to choose what to do with their lives, that women should have sexual freedom, that women deserve equal respect and equal career opportunities in society. But I don't believe in dismantling the so-called patriarchy, nor do I believe that we should strive to entirely abolish men and women and live in a gender-neutral society. I think individuals should live how they want, and I also think that most heterosexual women do desire at some point to be in a long-term relationship with a man. To me, this philosophy of individualistic feminism is not really feminism, it's liberalism. Believing in social equity and freedom of choice is a liberal idea that doesn't really have much to do with feminism. Feminism is a collectivist movement, not an individualistic movement. This modern idea of pop feminism, which is all about girl power and women having choices, has diminished what feminism was supposed to be. It's alienated a lot of liberal-minded women like myself who do believe that women should have agency, but are uncomfortable in labeling ourselves feminists because we don't like to be associated with the radical, more anti-male aspects of the movement. It's rather sad nowadays that if a woman chooses to reject feminism, this automatically means that she believes we should go back to the 1950s where women shut their legs until marriage and were just at home cooking and cleaning. I definitely don't support this worldview, but I can't align myself with feminism either. In my opinion, feminism is fundamentally a radical movement. It's radical to want to tear down the establishment. It's radical to say that 50% of the human population are complicit in oppressing the other 50%. I think we need to stop pretending that feminism is some happy-go-lucky girl power movement that is all about women having choice. Feminism is supposed to be a radical movement. Being a feminist should be about making a statement. It should mean something beyond, I just want women to have choices. When we make feminism all about giving women choice, we confuse and gaslight women into identifying as something that they're not comfortable with. Because honestly, what woman, or man by extension, doesn't think that women should have choice? When we force all women to become feminists because feminism just means that women should have choice, we lose the overall goal of feminism, which was to liberate women from the patriarchy, which I obviously don't agree with and think is an extremely simplistic worldview. But regardless, Christina Hoff Sommers, a woman I greatly admire, calls herself an equity feminist. However, the term equity feminism is a bit of a misnomer as it exclusively focuses on one gender. Equity between the genders cannot be achieved whilst only focusing on one gender. Saying equity feminist is a bit like saying anarcho-capitalist or libertarian socialist. It's bringing together two concepts that are contradictory with one another. Anarchism is against hierarchies, and capitalism creates hierarchies. Libertarianism and socialism are almost diametrically opposed to one another, as libertarians believe in individual freedom and free markets, while socialists believe in collectivism and are against free markets. I even think the term liberal feminist is oxymoronic, as there's nothing really liberal about feminism. Liberalism is about the freedom of the individual, which is why a lot of feminists are and were traditionally anti-capitalism. Some even believe that you can't be a feminist if you support capitalism, because essentially the white, cisgendered, heterosexual, male, capitalist-dominated patriarchy is what is oppressive to women. Charles Fourier first wrote about this when he discussed Feminism, and along with Marx and Engels, was very critical of how capitalism oppressed women in their family role. Overall, I have nothing against most liberal feminists, and most people I'm close with in real life who call themselves feminists are really not the extreme kind. They are what I would call casual choice feminists who say that feminism just means women deserve to be treated equally. I just think this definition is insulting to the more classic feminists because they weren't really fighting for gender equality, they were fighting to dismantle the establishment. I also think that it puts pressure on women like myself who are not particularly conservative, yet don't want to be affiliated with feminism. I do think that feminism is fundamentally toxic, sexist, and divisive, and is not really a benign girl power movement that just wants women to have freedom of choice. Once people start realizing that choice feminism or liberal feminism is a misnomer that has been used to coerce people into adopting a rather radical ideology, then we'll see that most people really aren't feminists. Most people are not extreme, and most people do not hold extreme or radical positions. They just want to go to work and eat, sleep, and be fruitful and multiply. But what do you think? Is choice feminism fair or accurate towards the wider feminist cause? Is feminism fundamentally a radical movement? Have I pissed off any feminists in the comments? Let me know below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to join my Facebook group, Liberals Against Feminism, below.